Hello and welcome to ThePrint. Today, I shall speak about the Ukrainian drone attacks on Russia and its implications for India. Operation Spiderweb. Ukraine's recent drone attacks on Russian airfields significantly disrupted Russia's military capabilities and sent a strong message not only regarding Ukraine's evolving warfare strategies, but also to armies worldwide on the growing drone threat. On 1st June 2025, Ukraine launched a coordinated drone strike targeting 5 major Russian airbases using drones that were smuggled into Russia in shipping containers disguised as construction material. Utilizing 117 drones, the Ukrainian forces executed a surprise attack deep within Russian territory, the deepest being over 4,000 kilometers from Ukraine, which is more than the length or breadth of India. The operation resulted in the destruction of several aircraft, including strategic bombers such as the Tu-22 and Tu-95, which are vital to Russia's long-range and nuclear capabilities. Military analysts are also comparing it to the Israeli pager attack, a covert operation executed by Israeli intelligence services against Hezbollah in September 2024. This operation, dubbed Operation Grim Reaper, involved the strategic detonation of thousands of pagers and walkie-talkies used by Hezbollah operatives in Lebanon and Syria. A common factor in both these attacks was their sheer unconventionality, adding yet another dimension to the concepts of asymmetric, kinetic, and non-contact warfare. It was evidently evident that India needs to be quick on the draw if it is to forestall similar attacks within our own territory. Our Integrated Air Defense System, IADS, worked well to neutralize Pakistani drone attacks during Operation Sindoor, but these defensive measures were focused on the areas bordering Pakistan. We are surrounded by inimical countries or countries that harbor terror groups. Given these realities, our vital installations are no more than a few hundred kilometers from any border, making the institution of 360-degree preventive and precautionary measures all the more urgent. Countering drone attacks against targets in the hinterland, such as airfields, will involve a combination of technology, tactics, and infrastructural flexibility. Some of the measures that need to be initiated are, firstly, integrated sensor networks, deploying a combination of radar, radio frequency detectors, and optical sensors to create a comprehensive surveillance system. An upgraded IADS network is needed to detect, track, and classify drones at various ranges, providing multi-directional early warning and situational awareness over the entire Indian airspace. Secondly, geofencing, implementing virtual boundaries around critical areas that trigger alerts when unauthorized drones enter restricted zones. Enhanced geofencing using 3D modeling to adapt to terrain and operational needs will offer a dynamic defense perimeter without curtailing own operational freedom. Thirdly, radio frequency jamming, utilizing directional radio frequency jammers to disrupt communications between a drone and its operator, causing the drone to return to its launch point or land. However, this method is effective only against drones relying on RF links and not on pre-programmed ones. Microwave and directed energy weapons. High-power microwave systems that emit concentrated microwave pulses to disable drone electronics are particularly effective against drone swarms due to their ability to engage multiple targets simultaneously. Radio frequency directed energy weapons, on the other hand, emit targeted RF energy to disrupt or damage the electronic components of drones, offering a cost-effective and scalable solution for the defense of military bases and other large vulnerable areas. The Defense Research and Development Organization, DRDO, which is already working on such projects, should fast-track the development of these systems. Fifthly, anti-drone meshes or cope cages. Installing metal lattice structures around aircraft and critical infrastructure or assets can physically prevent drones from making direct contact, reducing the risk of damage from explosive or kinetic impacts. However, the protective value of such cages is limited, especially when sensitive equipment is involved. A better alternative would be to have hardened shelters, or better still, move everything underground. Using low technology alternatives like smoke screens to obscure the view for first person view drones is also possible. Sixthly, quick reaction teams. Designating specialized trained units like the Air Force's Garuds or the National Security Guard (NSG) to respond to drone threats would enable swift action to neutralize or mitigate attacks. Each military installation will have to institute a system of lookouts who can sound the alarm the moment an unidentified flying object is spotted. Lastly, and seventhly, training and preparedness. Regular drills and training programs for personnel to enhance readiness and ensure an effective response to drone incursions. This includes familiarization with detection systems, engagement protocols, and coordinating procedures. The support of the local population, who can act as spotters, and civil-military cooperation will be vital. Implementing a combination of these measures can significantly enhance the defensibility of airfields and critical infrastructure against drone threats, even in depth areas far from the front lines. Equally important, though, are some of the measures that have to be taken in the civilian domain by the government. What these drone attacks have magnified is that there is no classical front line and that the entire country is the battlefield. That being so, many rules and regulations that have been ignored for want of legislation or political expediency need to be looked at. The declaration of no-fly zones in the vicinity of vulnerable areas needs to be notified and made a punishable offence, inviting severe penalties under the National Security Act, and not treated merely as a minor civil offence. The restrictions on construction near the periphery of military installations needs to be strictly followed. As things stand now, the Ministry of Defence guidelines under the Works of Defence Act 1903 are being blatantly violated. Even when violations are observed and reported, they are dismissed by local authorities, including the courts and police, in sympathy with the local population. In one instance, the Karnataka High Court even issued orders to ignore the MOD guidelines in a case about construction activities. This short-sighted approach to matters of national security can have far-reaching, catastrophic consequences. Civil multi-storied buildings hugging the boundary walls, from where attacks on specific targets and personnel can be launched and controlled by FPV drones, presents a very real and potent danger. Due attention also needs to be paid to the multitude of drone and anti-drone companies that have proliferated in the last few years. It must be made mandatory for all such companies to register themselves and provide details of their manufacturing or assembly capacities with a record of sales and verified end users. An underground market for drones cannot be allowed to flourish. All drones moreover, need to be registered at the nearest police station, including the technical parameters. Unauthorized possession or sale of drones needs to be made an offense through suitable legislation on the lines of the Arms Act. All agencies need to work seamlessly to deal with this emerging threat. Ukraine's drone attack on Russian airfields has been described as Russia's Pearl Harbor moment. The US suffered significant losses after Japan's surprise attack on its Pacific fleet, as has Russia now. However, let us not forget that the US survived and, through the wrecks of sunken ships, rose up and won the war. What the future portends is unclear, but we need to be prepared for all eventualities. Forewarned is forearmed. This is General Naravane for ThePrint.